Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we are going to make a pretty little Christmas box. Now this is number 2 in my Handmade Christmas, and there's going to be a series of, I think, 25. I might not quite get to 25. I might end up doing 12, but there's going to be a series. They're going to be back to back, and we're on number 2. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because then you'll get the whole of the series. And thank you so much to everybody who has already subscribed and gives me such fantastic comments. They really spur me on, so thank you. So this is a little box which measures, it's a 2" by 2" box, and it's an inch deep, and when you open it up you can fill it with all sorts of things. Now this one I have filled it with, so it's just a simple opener, and I filled it with some jewellery, and you can see, you know, quite a large piece of jewellery, and you know, I've just put a little bit of cotton wool in the bottom. You can put a bit of tissue, anything that you want, and as I say, it will fit a piece of, you know, quite large jewellery in there quite nicely, and as I say, Christmassy done. So I thought we would make this one, and the next one we're going to fill with chocolates. So you can fill it with all sorts of things, but it's a good size box. So you need a piece of cherry cobbler, and this measures, I'm going to get my scoreboard out so you can then see us doing the measuring, and you can see I'm going to have to just make sure that we are in, there we go, so we're in perfectly on that. Let's just put our little pieces in. So we need to score this at, on the long side, so that's the side which measures 7.5 inches, and we are going to score it at 1 inch. We are going to score it at 3¼ inches. We're going to score it at 4¼ inches. And we're going to score it at 6½ inches. So let me just make sure that's right. 4¼ 5¼ 6¼ plus the 1/4 inch is 6½ inches. So that's scored at 6½ inches. Then we're going to turn it round onto the short side. So this is the side that's 4¼ inches, and we're going to score it very simply at 1 inch. Whoops. Get it down straight, 1 inch. And we're going to score it at 3¼ inches. 3¼ There we go. Whoops. Need to get that slightly lower down. 3¼ inches. Okay, so I will leave all of the instructions and, well, dimensions down below for you, so that it's you don't have to go searching around for them. So always have a look down in the description box below, and you will find all of the details of all the dimensions for this. Okay, so we then need a bone folder, and we are going to just burnish it on all of the sides. Cardstock is lovely because it's nice and thick, so it gives you a good sturdy box, which I always like boxes that are quite sturdy. Okay, so now we are going to, we've got our bigger panels across the top and we've got our smaller panels across the bottom, and we are just going to, there's me getting my paper snips, we're just going to cut those out. So we're literally going to work our way along. You're going to cut inside, just slightly inside the score line, and then you're going to wedge. Doesn't need to be a large wedge, just sort of a small wedge through just up to the top. So let's take that one out, and we'll do the same on all of them. So just working your way down. It's always a bit of rule of thumb that squares you can wedge into, rectangles you leave alone. And the reason that we do this is that it makes the finish slightly nicer. So what these little bits that we just need to, oops, that's not going to be pulled out very well, but just pull those little wedge pieces out as you get to them, and just work your way in. So you want it just inside. So what we're doing is we're basically taking out the score line, because the score line will not make the box fold as nicely as it could do. So let's just take that one out. Very good at getting those ones out today. There we go. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So we're cutting in, and we're wedging, and we're wedging. Then we're cutting in, and we're wedging on those squares. So we're wedging in on the squares, and then we're cutting in, and we're wedging in on the squares. So you're going to have just tiny little pieces that I'll show you when I've got those pieces out. And there we go. So you will have something that looks like that, which is fairly sort of easy and straightforward. And your little wedgy bits, as I say, are not going to be huge. They're only going to be that sort of size. So I'm just going to put them out of the way for now, so I can put them in the bin later on. So put them in my little sort of pot bit there. Okay, so we can turn it over, and we are going to decorate it. Now I'm using the lovely classic Christmas papers. You've got 3 different colours, so you've got greens and reds and Sahara sand, which is sort of a beige colour, and they come in 3 different patterns. So they are in 6x6. So a lot of the projects you'll see I'm doing 6x6. So let me just very quickly show you. You can see I've been using some of the papers already, but just very quickly, you have lovely Sahara's. Let me take it out like that, it's easier for you to see. So you've got Sahara sand, you've got the green, which is, I'll have to have a look at the thing on there. And then you've got the cherry cobbler, and you've got all of these different designs, 2-sided. So you've got great patterns. It is, let me find that green for you. Shaded spruce is the green. So, and that's the other side of it. So again, you've got lovely sort of classic patterns, and being 6x6, I must admit, I find if they're 6x6s, I tend to have them out and tend to use them. 12x12s, I tend to put them away in my drawer, and I don't use them as often. So we're using the 6x6. We're using this lovely pattern with the little sort of sprigs and the berries, because it's going to go in with the thing, the baubles and the sprig that we're using at the end. It actually matches perfectly. The other side, you've got some spots, you know, snowflakey things that would work as well. So we need 2 pieces which are 2 inches by 2 inches. And then we need 7 pieces which are 2 inches but are 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so the 2 pieces that are 2 inches by 2 inches, we're just going to take some wet glue and, ooh, there we go. Glues always need a little bit of a shake. And we're just going to put these in on the center, giving ourselves the little border. Whoops. And this is why wet glue is quite good, because it does give you a little bit of wiggle room. So I'll put all of these pieces on. So that's the other 2 by 2. Like that. And again, it's not really a directional piece of paper. If it's directional, you need to be a little bit careful so that you have your pattern running the right way, but a lot of these ones don't. So we're going to have on each one of these pieces, every rectangular piece, we're going to put one of these little ones. So we've got some up here on the top. And just sort of line it up so that you get it fairly straight. Now I've purposely not chosen to put a sentiment on the outside of the box. You can do if you want to, but I thought that actually if I was giving a piece of jewellery or something like that, you don't always have to have sentiments and things on there. You can just leave it with something that it's obvious that it's Christmassy. And if you put it as a gift and you're going to put it into a little gift bag or something like that, which I'll be showing you some gift bags to put little presents like this in, you don't necessarily want sentiment on absolutely everything. So when we're doing this one, we want this top and this bottom to just line up nicely. So I could in fact turn it this way because it makes it easier. And you can see that the pattern of the paper is absolutely really lovely. It is such a lovely, pretty design. So just ease that so that it runs level with those, and then we've just got one more to go down on the bottom here. Oops. There we go. So I have the last one down on the bottom, and again just slide that along so that it runs parallel. Okay, so now we've got it all decorated like that. It's a matter of putting it together. Now you can do it with wet glue, you can do it with tear and tape, you can do it with the new Seal Plus. You want something that's fairly strong. Now, as you know, I like to do everything with my wet glue. I can get it right up to my corners. So I tend to do wet glue all the time. So we're going to do the first four of the corners. Okay, so as I say, make sure you get your glue right up to your corner, because that's the bit that you want to adhere nice and straight. So we're just doing those 4 first so we don't get ourselves confused. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this corner and you're going to line it up straight with your edge on here, and then you can just give it a little press. Now wet glue will take a second longer than tear and tape, but as I said, I do prefer to use it. So again, we're taking it right up to that edge, nice and straight, and then just give it a press until your glue's done. And then we're going to take, now I find it easier to fold these pieces back on themselves so they're not going to get in the way. And then you're going to take this piece and you're going to do exactly the same thing. So you're going to take it in and you're going to line it up with the edge on here. And if you turn the box as you go, you can line it up nice and straight. Okay, so that's number 3. And then number 4, it's going to have to tuck in a little bit. So just tuck it in. And again, just take it up to that top edge. So it's nice and straight. And once it's at that top edge, just literally hold it in with your finger for a minute. Or as I say, if you're doing tear and tape, you don't need to do that. Okay, now our side pieces can come down. And we're going to do these pieces here. So these pieces we need to put our wet glue in on here. So we're just going to add our wet glue in on there, those pieces like that, and do it again on the other side. And again, I always make sure that my top piece has a good amount of glue on, because that's where you want the edge to be nice and straight. Okay, now we folded those in, so just to make sure that they're creasing nicely, we're going to fold them back in again, because then when we come to put them on, they're going to work better. Now, to get the box nice and level, what I tend to do is I will do one corner and put it up nice and straight like that, and hold it, and then put it in over the box nicely. And then the other corner, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but I'm going to have the box closed first, because you quite often find there's just a tiny little piece that's, to get the box to close properly, you want it to have that little bit of wiggle room. So if you push the box closed on itself and then give that a seal, you know that your box is going to open nicely without it being too tight one way or the other. Okay, so we want a little thumb hole on here, so I'm actually just going to grab, this is the little 1-inch circle punch, but any little circle punch you've got, you can do this beforehand, but because it's the 1 inch, it literally fits perfectly. And I'm just eyeballing it in the center, and I'm just putting a little nip out of it, because then that means that it's easy to see where your front is. Otherwise it can be quite difficult to see it. Okay, so you can now fill it with whatever you want. I'm going to, as I said, I've got some, I buy little sort of chocolate things from Amazon. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably fit 8 in there. Yeah, so that's 8 in there, and that closes nicely on there, so you've got that full of chocolates. Now we're going to decorate the top. Now with this one, with the first one, let me bring the first one back in so you can see. We did this with the lovely little, let me find my front little thumb hole. You can see, you have to find where your thumb hole is. I've done it in Whisper White because it matches the white on there. This time, because I've put gold chocolates inside, I'm actually going to do it with gold. So we are using the dies, which are, get my pieces because I've already cut them out just to save a little bit of time. Okay, we are using the Sounds of the Season dies. Now these goes with the bells, and you've got, they're really rather nice, so we'll have just a little look at them so you can see. We have got this really large bell, you've got a middling bell, and you've got a small bell. You've then got the die cuts that will cut out of the stamp set that goes with it. You've got some little tiny sprigs. You've got the pieces that you can put in on the center if you want, and you've got a little tiny bell as well. So there's lots of bells to use. I've used the second and the third one, so not the largest one, but the middling two, and both of the little sprigs. So I've cut those out, and we are going to put First of all, we're going to put the little sprigs on. So I've done this on double-sided, so it just saves a little bit of time. And we're going to put one down at the top in that direction. We're going to put the other one down on the other side, and that's going to go literally touching it so that it looks as if it's from the same bough, down in that direction. Then we're going to have the large one and then the small one tucked in underneath. So we'll do, I've just put dimensionals on the back. So we'll have the small one tucked in underneath, sort of up at that sort of height. And then we'll have the larger one. And I've kept these ones die cut out, so you can pop them out. And if you did them on white, you could colour those in if you wanted to. I put, when I die cut them, I immediately put either some sticky tape or my dimensionals on the back, because then it holds the pieces in. Otherwise you'll find, not so much with the brushed metallics, but if you're using the Whisper White or cardstock, you'll find that sometimes they will fall out, which is what we don't want. So this is going to come in over the top, and I'm just going to put these so that they're next to each other on there. Okay, so you've now got your two boxes. One of them, as I say, I've filled with jewellery, so you can see you can get quite a bit in there. So that one's got the jewellery in, and this one has just got some chocolates. So again, if you're wanting to just do a little gift for somebody, you know, fill it with chocolates. You could fit chocolate coins in there, all sorts of little bits and pieces, but a nice size box for Christmas. And these are now two that are going to go for presents and stocking fillers for the family. So thank you so much for watching me. As always, please stay safe and stay well and be kind, and join me again for project number 3. Thank you. Bye-bye.